Obama, but one of the distractions, that New York Times story this morning talking about all these Republicans jockeying now to already run in 2020. The Times cites interviews with 75 Republicans at every level of the party. They say they expressed widespread uncertainty about whether President Trump will run in 2020. Are you convinced he wants to run again? And what do you make of the story?
The president says privately and publicly, George, that he'll be there for 7.5 more years. So he plans on being a two-term president. I read that article, and I want to say a few things about it. First of all, I think that in the Republican Party for many decades, we've suffered from what I call staph infection. People who are rewarded for losses. Most of the people quoted, most of the people involved, I'm sure, have never won a national political campaign like the one I was involved in or you were involved in years ago. Number two, they need a full employment act in Republican consultancy. Some of them are still not supporting their party and their party's main points of view on tax reform and health reform, on putting ISIS in retreat, if not full defeat. And I want to make a remark about Vice President Pence. I've worked with him for 10 years as his pollster, as a senior advisor, and certainly work with him daily in the White House. It is absolutely true that the vice president is getting ready for 2020 for re-election as vice president.
So no concern he's setting up a shadow campaign?
And he's also getting ready for 2018. Zero concern. That is complete fiction. That is complete fabrication. And I know that his advisors, who had comments attributed to them, have pushed back very strongly, as has the vice president, and as am I right now, unequivocally. Vice President Pence is a very loyal, very dutiful, but also incredibly effective vice president, an active vice president with this president. He is a peer to the president in the West Wing. He just came off a trip in Eastern Europe, and he'll go back, I believe, within the next week to South America to represent the country on his 4th or 5th foreign trip since taking office. But let me just make very clear. People need Republican consultants. There's always people trying to play the parlor game. They're not on the. They're not in the, I'd say, Trump inside inner circle, because they did not believe in him. They totally missed what was happening in America, that the forgotten man and forgotten woman, many of whom had voted for Democrats in the past, many of whom had never voted or never voted in decades, came forth and made this new coalition in a way that, Frank, respectfully, the last couple of Republican candidates did not. Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan won one state. They lost Wisconsin by 7 points. Donald Trump won Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Iowa. I would tell my Republican brethren, get on board. Help us with tax reform and health reform, and stop looking at 2020.
Let's see. We will see what happens.